Hi, this is Tim from fitatmidlife.com. Today, I've got the Do-In Classic Lifter from Rogue. This is a traditional style weightlifting shoe with a suede upper and a stacked leather heel. How does this compare to the more expensive shoes like the Nike Romaleos 4 or the Reebok Legacy Lifter? That's what we're going to talk about, so stick around. All right, let's take a look at the Do-In Classic Lifter from Rogue. So this is a very traditional style weightlifting shoe. Rogue had a version of this that they launched way back in 2007. It was available for several years, and then they became unavailable. I actually had one of the original pairs that had wood in the heels. These are different. These have stacked leather in the heel. But this is a very traditional kind of weightlifting shoe. What does that mean? Well, upper, it's leather, it's suede specifically. It's a little bit of a lint magnet, but it looks good. It's got the straps, two of them, regular laces. There's mesh combined in the upper here. We've got a nice design, a stripe there. It says Do-In, and you can see, of course, it's labeled Rogue because these are made especially for Rogue Fitness. Tongue is moderate, meaning there's some padding there. It's not paper thin, but it's not overly luxurious either. And it's a pretty conservative looking shoe, I would say, compared to some of the other options. So the collar, you can see here, there's a little bit of padding around the inside, not very much, and the Achilles pad comes up kind of high here. So that's basically a tour of the upper. Looking down the side, you can see there's that stacked leather heel. So at first you look at that and it almost looks like wood, but it's not. That's stacked leather. So I think it looks really nice. It's definitely got great aesthetics. And that continues, you can see a layer all the way up to the toe. These have a rounded toe shape to them. We'll talk about fit and sizing a bit here. The bottom, this is an all rubber outsole. It's not perfect's flat because it's got like that grainy pebble grain to it. And you can see already there's a little bit of uneven wear, but this is maximum surface area contact with the gym floor regardless. So all rubber outsole, it's pretty thick too. And my only concern is with the rubber peeling off of the rest of the heel or the forefoot, which is what doomed my earlier pair of Do-Ins. So the rubber started to peel off. But, these are new, so I don't know how robust they'll be. Hopefully they'll last quite a while. Inside, there's a solid midsole, of course, because it is a lifter. But there's this drop-in insole that has a little bit of padding in the heel. It's not overly padded. There's minimal padding up front in the forefoot. And on the inside, you can see there's not really much in there. You can see some nails, right? The midsole is actually nailed into the outsole or something, and that's very, very solid, very firm, like you would expect in a lifter. The drop-in insole doesn't really add anything in terms of cushioning, or not really that you can feel. It's pretty thin. Okay, so let's talk about the key feature in an Olympic weightlifting shoe. What is the heel-to-toe drop with that stacked leather heel? Rogue says it is a 19 millimeter heel to toe drop, meaning your heel 19 millimeters higher than your toes. However, they also say it varies by the size of the shoe. This is a men's size 11, and they have a chart showing that it has a 21 millimeter heel to toe drop. So this is right in the range of where you find most weightlifting shoes, at least in this size. and that is a good value for a heel raise in a weightlifting shoe, in my experience. Let's talk sizing now. So Rogue on the website page actually says you should go 1/2 size down from your running shoe size or your regular shoe size. Why is that? Well, it turns out these are long. So I ordered an 11. This is my normal size. And honestly, there's too much room up front. There's about 1/8 of an inch too much, I would say, in my normal shoe size. Which, maybe I should have read the instructions. Maybe I should have ordered a 1/2 size down. However, I will also say these are pretty tight in the toe area. Even with that rounded toe, looks pretty wide, it's just really not that wide. And so if I had gone a 1/2 size down to 10.5, the length might have been good, but they almost certainly would have been too short in the width. It would have been too tight in the toe box for sure, I think. So things to think about there. These are leather. Maybe the leather will stretch out a bit over time, and it will be a better fit as a 10.5. But I mean, ultimately, I can't tell you for sure because I only bought 11s. They're not horrible. They're not unusable. They're definitely too long, though, from what you would normally consider the proper fit of a shoe. Women's, they only have men's sizes. There is a chart on the website for you to convert from women's sizes to men's sizes. And basically, I'm not sure what to tell you for sizing advice, unfortunately. But definitely expect they're going to be long unless you go a 1/2 size down, as Rogue recommends. So with that discussion on sizing out of the way, how do these actually fit and feel? How do they work in the gym? Well, they're lifters, so they work. They're solid. They've got the heel raise. They've got the straps up front. They're fairly secure with the laces and the straps and everything, just like you would expect. They're heavy, right, because they are lifters. They've got a lot to them, all those materials, all that thickness, all that super dense midsole and outsole. These weigh 23.5 ounces for a men's size 11. So that's right in the spot where all my other weightlifting shoes are for the most part. So they're not lightweight or overly heavyweight. They're just about where I would expect them to be. These are relatively quiet. So with that rubber outsole and with the stacked layer of the heel raise, these are relatively quiet for a weightlifting shoe. Meaning they don't make a ton of noise. They do make noise because they're solid heel and all that, right? This kind of got that clip-clop sound when you're walking, but it is fairly minimal as far as weightlifting shoes go. Traction is good. This all-rubber outsole, this is very tough, very durable, but also great traction. It's as good as any other shoe that I've tested traction-wise. And these go for about $125. So they are significantly cheaper than some of the premium weightlifting shoes that you can buy nowadays. But I think it's going to come down to, does the sizing work for you with that kind of that oddness where they are just long but not wide. It's just sort of a weird combination. So you might want to order them, be prepared to try it, and return them if they don't fit. All right, so let's compare the Do-In Classic Lifter to the Reebok Legacy Lifter. So overall, you can see some similarities there. 2 straps. 2 is good. You can get a more precision fit by being able to adjust either the top or the bottom. Regular laces. The Reebok Legacy Lifter has flex weave. It looks pretty nice. It's tough. Suede, also very tough. Should last a very, very long time. I don't think the upper is going to wear out on these shoes. There's no chance of that, in fact. Looking around the side, both have a really big heel raise, 21 millimeters, as I've said. This is 22 millimeters, printed right on the bottom. And you can see the heel raise there. Pretty good looking shoe, the Legacy Lifter. It's a little bit busy because it's got all this stuff, but there's a lot of materials, a lot of things up here, and it's very, very good feeling of stability, as is the Do-In. So, with the heel to toe drop being about the same, the weight's about the same, 23.5 ounces. This is just at a little over 22 or almost 23, I think. And, there's really not too many differences. I will tell you one thing, though. the traction on the outsole is definitely better on the do-in. I've noted this in my other video on the Legacy Lifter. This rubber, very firm, very durable, but that means it usually gives less traction. So I think Reebok does this on purpose so that this will last a very long time, but these have noticeably less traction than most of the other weightlifting shoes I have, including the do-ins. That said, it's not like they're unusable. That's not what I'm saying. It is noticeably less traction. These are about the same level of sound and noise, maybe a little tiny bit noisier, but overall, both shoes are pretty good in that regard. Really, what it boils down to for me is, one is a $200 shoe, one is a $125 shoe, and besides the weird sizing on these, they're long but not wide, right? If these fit okay for you, I think they're totally adequate and you could save $75. Whereas these actually fit me better in a men's size 11, so even though they're $75 more, this shoe actually turns out being better for me, in my opinion. So there you go. Check them both out, and ultimately you'll have to try them yourself, I would think. Now let's compare to the Nike Romaleos 4. So suede upper, cloth upper, but very dense cloth, 2 straps, padded tongues in both. You can see the Achilles pad comes up pretty high on the Romaleos. You can see the heel raise, of course. The Romaleos 4 has a very intricate, cool, plasticky design. I really like the way the shoe looks. To me, the Romaleos 4 is a winner in the aesthetics department, but it looks very cutting edge, very futuristic, whereas this is definitely more mundane, more conventional, more traditional, and I can't really tell you which one is better, right, because it all depends. What do you want? What do you prefer? I can tell you, though, both work, adequately as lifters. They've got the heel raise, they're solid, they've got the straps. The traction is good on both. So the Romaleos does not have any traction issues or anything, even with this big hollowed out area. Still good traction, maybe because they go wide. And this is some kind of fairly tough rubber here. Nice looking design on the bottom. But I will tell you one thing though. This is a noisy shoe. The Romaleos 4 is noisy, so it's a high pitched clattering kind of sound, probably because it's plastic, probably because it thins out at the edge. It's just noisy when you walk. It's noisy when you lift, like the clap. It just makes a lot more noise doing everything. And this is in comparison to all the other weightlifting shoes. This is the noisiest weightlifting shoe that I have. So does it matter? Maybe not, right? Because they're gym shoes. Who cares? You're in there to make noise anyways, right? They're all going to make some noise, but these will definitely make more. I do like the way they have all these layered materials. The Romaleos 4 has outstanding lateral stability even compared to this. So it's the width here, it's the thickness and the layering of materials up the side. This is very robust. This is, I can't say this isn't robust, but this isn't as robust as this. This is very firm. So and this fits me perfect too, by the way. So this is an 11.5. So they got a weird pointy toe box on the Romaleos 4. So I always recommend go half size up, or your toes will be smushed. At least mine are. So 11.5, but fits me perfect. Whereas remember, this is an 11 and it's long, and I don't really know if I can get the optimal fit in the do-in. Now, this is a $200 weightlifting shoe, though. This is a $125 shoe, right? So again, if this one fits you well, it might be good enough. But for me, my preference is definitely the Nike Romaleos 4 when comparing these two shoes. All right, last but not least, let's compare the do-in with the Adidas Adipower 2. So you can see cloth upper here, very narrow shape, so you can probably see that easily. The Adipower 2, crazy narrow. These are so narrow, they're not usable by me. They're 11s, so the length is okay, but the width is just insane on these. So insanely too little width for me. So I definitely recommend going half size up on these. But the other thing, one strap, so it doesn't feel secure. The other thing, though, I didn't show you forefoot flexibility in the other shoes, but this thing has tons of forefoot flexibility. That's a design feature of the shoe, and some people prefer that because they can grip with their toes, so to speak. There's no other weightlifting shoe that has that forefoot flexibility. This thing, on the other hand, like I can't actually make that flex whatsoever. So this is the least flexible forefoot of any weightlifting shoe that I have currently. But when you're wearing it, when you got it on, it's not that bad, right? It's totally usable. But that's the unique aspect of the Adipower 2 is the light, forefoot flexibility. It's got the heel raise. This is 20 millimeters, I think. Yeah, 20.1. This is a lightweight shoe compared to the other lifters. This is only 18.2 ounces, men's size 11, so it's 5 ounces lighter than this shoe. So why is it so much lighter, right? Because the heel is solid, but it's this really thin, pliable material, only one strap, like all that adds up and you get less weight. But that's my beef with this one too, besides the width, it being too narrow. This one's flimsy like a spaghetti noodle. It definitely doesn't have the lateral stability that I prefer compared to any of the other shoes. And so between these two shoes, my preference would be the Do-In. This is also a $200 shoe. So you pay a lot for a shoe that doesn't really feel all that supportive versus a cheaper shoe that really feels like the experience you would expect in a weightlifting shoe. The final point, this is super comfortable in the upper. This almost feels like a running shoe or a cross trainer level of comfort. So just very soft, nice on your foot. But again, if it doesn't do the job it's supposed to do, which is provide support, then what good is it? So in this case, the winner to me is the Do-In Classic Lifter. So there you go. That's our review of the Do-In Classic Lifter from Rogue Fitness. It is a traditional style Olympic weightlifting shoe with a suede and mesh upper, dual straps, and a stacked layer heel. It stacked layers of leather, all rubber outsole, very high traction, with a 21 millimeter heel to toe drop in a US men's size 11. Rogue advertises these as being a 19 millimeter heel to toe drop. They have a chart on the website. Overall, a nice shoe. It works. It is a perfectly adequate lifter. The question will be, will the kind of weird sizing where they're long but not very wide, will that work for you? That is only something you can answer. I hope this has been helpful. If you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe. We post new shoe reviews regularly. Thank you. Have a good day.